Welcome to OOTO TV, the out of the office investigation from our past into the future of personal health and psychophysiological actualization. This time, we're discussing neurolinguistic programming, personal health, and actualization.
Actually, Jagger, I think today we're taking a step back from the linguistic part of programming and going even deeper to the very vibration of life itself. We're exploring the bioelectric body and the incredible world of healing through sound frequency modulation. It's a fascinating parallel to NLP, really. Instead of words, we're using pure frequency to communicate directly with ourselves.
An excellent pivot, Peaches. You're absolutely right. It's about exploring a different kind of language, one that our biology inherently understands. This isn't just about theory. We're going to be looking at real, FDA-cleared technologies and groundbreaking research that suggests the future of health is as much about physics as it is about chemistry. Okay, let's get into this fascinating world. And who better to set the stage than the master of electricity himself, Nikola Tesla? You know, this quote has been used a lot in spiritual contexts, but Peaches, what we're investigating today suggests he was speaking about a literal, physical reality.
Oh, he absolutely was, Jagger. Quantum physics has since proven that at the most fundamental level, matter isn't solid at all. It's all just vibrating packets of energy. Our bodies aren't just sacks of chemicals. We are resonant, electromagnetic beings. This quote is really the foundational principle for our entire discussion on how sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health are intertwined. It's not poetry, it's a blueprint for a new kind of medicine.
So to guide our investigation today on OOTO TV, we have a clear path ahead. First, we're going to establish life's electric nature, the absolute bedrock of this entire concept. Then we'll journey back in time to explore a major historical fork in the road that sent medicine down a completely different path for over a century. That's right. And after I understand that history, we'll see how modern bioelectric devices are making a powerful comeback, supported by some really rigorous scientific data. Then we'll investigate the actual mechanisms, how this works at a cellular level, which is where it gets really compelling. And finally, we'll cast our eyes to the future of frequency medicine, which is already showing revolutionary potential. Before we bring all of our findings together, it's going to be an illuminating journey into the body's hidden language. So, the spark of life. It's one of those phrases we use all the time, but it's literally true. The source material for our investigation makes a crucial point. Every single chemical reaction in your body, from digesting your food to thinking a thought, is preceded and controlled by an electrical signal. That electricity is the master controller. Exactly. It's the operating system. Our entire nervous system is an electrical grid. Every sight, sound, and touch is converted into electrical impulses for the brain to process. So this brings us to a fundamental question we have to ask today. How can sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health affect our mental and physical health? If our entire system is electric, it just stands to reason that electrical and vibrational inputs can have a profound effect. And the proof of this is in every single hospital around the world. We don't have to guess if the body is electric, we measure it every single day. The EEG on this slide measures the brain's electromagnetic waves, and the ECG measures the hearts. These aren't abstract concepts, they are the vital signs of life. It's the most direct evidence we have. When a doctor in an emergency room needs to determine if life is present, these are the tools they use. They are looking for that electrical rhythm, because when those waves on the screen go flat, life as we know it has ceased. It's just an undeniable testament to our bioelectric nature. This observable reality led early pioneers like Dr. Harold Saxton Burr at Yale University to theorize about something he called the life field. He proposed that our bodies are organized by an energetic blueprint, an electromagnetic field that guides the development and function of our physical form. I just love the analogy he used. Think of how iron filings arrange themselves perfectly along the invisible lines of a magnetic field. We can't see the field itself, but we can see its organizing power. Burr believed our bodies work the exact same way. He even demonstrated that he could measure voltage changes in this field around plants and animals that would predict illness or growth patterns before they were physically visible. He was essentially reading the blueprint. And this wasn't just some fringe idea from the 20th century. As the timeline here shows, doctors have been exploring this for centuries. In the late 19th century, the celebrated neurologist Dr. Jean-Martin Charcot famously used a large vibrating chair to treat the tremors of Parkinson's disease. And the story behind that is just fascinating. He noticed that his patient's symptoms seemed to improve after a long, bumpy carriage ride on cobblestone streets. It was pure clinical observation. He hypothesized that the rhythmic vibration was having a calming effect on the nervous system, so he built a machine to replicate it. They were right on the cusp of a revolution, using frequency to restore balance. Which leads to the big question. If this field was so promising, with real doctors getting real results, what happened? Why does this all sound so new to many of us today? Well, the answer lies in a pivotal moment around 1910, a true fork in the road that would redefine Western medicine for the next century.
It's such a critical piece of the story, Jagger. You had these two parallel paths developing, the biochemical model, which was just beginning to isolate things like hormones, and this bioelectric or vibrational model. And the entire philosophy of what constituted real scientific medicine was about to be decided by a handful of very powerful men.
And that decision was really cemented by a publication called the Flexner Report. It was commissioned by the Carnegie Foundation and heavily backed by industrialists like John D. Rockefeller, who had massive financial interests in the emerging pharmaceutical industry. The report championed a purely biochemical, drug-based model of medicine.
Right. The logic, as one researcher in our source material aptly put it, became, I can hold chemicals in my hand, but energy in my other hand is invisible, so it must not be real. This tangible, materialistic view completely reshaped medical education and research funding.
And as a result, electromedicine, along with nutrition and other holistic practices, was systematically discredited and dismissed as unscientific quackery. Medical schools that didn't conform to the new drug-centric model lost their funding and their accreditation.
Now, to be fair, Jagger, this is where I might offer a bit of a contrary perspective. The field at the time was rife with charlatans selling bogus electric belts and cure-all devices. The Flexner Report did bring a much-needed scientific rigor and standardization to medical education. But it was a profound overcorrection. It threw the baby out with the bathwater, completely sidelining the very real physics of the human body in favor of a purely chemical view. It created a blind spot in medicine that has lasted for over 100 years. A fantastic and crucial point, Peaches. That context is key.
You're listening to OOTO TV with research by author Paul Buell. But now, after a century in the wilderness, that forgotten science is making a powerful comeback. And here's the beautiful irony. It's returning armed with the very thing the Flexner Report demanded: rigorous, modern, scientific research, including double-blind, placebo-controlled studies.
That's what makes this moment in history so exciting. We're finally bridging that 100-year gap. We're validating these old intuitive principles with modern technology and a much deeper understanding of cellular biology, neurology, and quantum physics. The invisible is finally being made visible through data.
So, let's look at a prime example, a device called AlphaStim. As the slide shows, it's an FDA-cleared medical device. It uses a technology called cranial electrotherapy stimulation, or CES. It works by clipping onto the earlobes and delivering a tiny, imperceptible electrical current across the brain. And notice what it's cleared to treat: anxiety, insomnia, and depression. These are conditions that our current medical model almost exclusively manages with pharmaceuticals. But AlphaStim's approach is fundamentally different. The intervention isn't a synthetic molecule. It's a specific patented waveform. It's communicating with the brain in its native language, electricity. And the results are just staggering. A 2014 placebo-controlled study found that an incredible 83% of people treated with AlphaStim experienced a 50% or more reduction in their anxiety and depression scores. In clinical research, a 50% improvement is a very, very high bar for success.
It's an astronomical number, Jagger. As the source material notes, there isn't a single drug study for anxiety that even comes close to that level of efficacy. This data forces us to seriously confront that question we asked earlier. Can sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health improve our human health? Data points like this suggest the answer is a resounding, evidence-based yes.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the other side of the equation: safety. With AlphaStim, the chance of a side effect is less than 1%. The most common are a mild headache or some skin irritation where the clips are attached, both of which are usually transient.
And you compare that to the list for common SSRIs: nausea, vomiting, insomnia, weight gain, loss of libido, and in some cases, even an increased risk of suicidal thoughts. I mean, the comparison is night and day. In fact, the source material shares a fascinating anecdote that pharmaceutical reps often come to the AlphaStim booth at medical conferences to try the device themselves because they're reluctant to take the very medications they sell. That says a lot.
So we've seen the impressive results, but the crucial point is, how does this actually work? What is happening inside our bodies? This brings us to another key question for our investigation. What are the key elements for sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health?
Well, it's not magic. It's sophisticated physiology. The body is like a complex symphony, and all of our cells and systems are playing in harmony at specific frequencies. Illness can be seen as a section of the orchestra playing out of tune. These therapeutic frequencies act like a conductor's baton, using principles like resonance and entrainment to bring those dissonant sections back into harmony through very specific biological pathways.
One of the key mechanisms is hemodynamic, which is all about blood flow. Research from the National Library of Medicine shows that specific low-frequency vibrations stimulate the endothelial cells, which are the single-cell lining of all our blood vessels, to produce and release a crucial molecule, nitric oxide.
And nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator, which means it signals the blood vessels to relax and open up. This immediately increases circulation, which in turn delivers more oxygen and nutrients to tissues and helps flush out waste products. This is a profound and fundamental healing response. This brilliantly shows how sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health creates a healthy environment for cellular growth and success.
Another key mechanism is neurological, through a process called brainwave entrainment. As this table shows, our brains operate at different dominant frequencies associated with different states of consciousness. You've got high alert, stressed out beta, meditative theta, or importantly, the state of calm, relaxed focus, known as alpha. Sound and frequency can literally guide your brain from one state to another. The brain has a natural tendency to synchronize with an external rhythmic stimulus. It's why a slow, steady drumbeat can feel so calming. The brain maps included in our source material show this perfectly in users of AlphaStim. A decrease in the tired, foggy delta waves, and a significant increase in healthy, alert alpha waves. It's physically tuning the brain to a better state. This leads to the core concept that explains the efficacy and safety of devices like AlphaStim. Dr. Daniel Kirsch, the inventor, uses this wonderful analogy. He says the device's unique waveform doesn't act like a brute force drug that hammers a single molecular pathway. Instead, it provides a buffet of frequencies. It's just a beautiful way to put it. It's like a biological tuning fork. It offers a wide spectrum of harmonic frequencies that are native to a healthy biological system. The cell's receptors then simply resonate with and take the specific frequencies they need to restore their own balance and function. If a frequency isn't needed, it's simply ignored. This is why there are virtually no side effects. The body's own intelligence is doing the work. This is all so incredibly exciting, Peaches. Let's move to the future and see how this same principle builds into truly revolutionary treatments, potentially moving us beyond the pill for some of our most feared and complex diseases.
The implications are just enormous. If we can use specific frequencies to modulate the nervous system for anxiety or to improve circulation, what else can we tune? The answer, it seems, is quite a lot, right down to the level of cellular replication.
You're listening to OOTB TV with research by author Paul Bulow. One of the most groundbreaking areas of research is in cancer treatment. A device called the Therabionic device, developed by researchers including Professor Boris Posh, is using patient-specific radio frequencies to target various types of cancer, including liver cancer and glioblastoma.
What's absolutely mind-boggling, Jagger, is the amount of energy it uses. The slide here shows the specific absorption rate, or SAR, which measures the energy absorbed by the body. A mobile phone held to your head has a SAR of around 1.0 watt per kilogram. The Therabionic device has been shown to be effective at a SAR of less than 0.001. That's 1,000 times less energy.
And this brilliantly illustrates a key principle of this entire field. More power is not better. It's not about blasting the body with energy. It's about specificity. It's about finding the precise resonant frequency that interacts with the target, in this case, a cancer cell. Just like a singer can shatter a crystal glass with a single, perfect note. It's information, not brute force. Exactly. And the scientific principle that explains how such a low-energy signal can have such a profound biological effect is called ion cyclotron resonance. It was pioneered by Professor Abraham Liboff, who showed that very weak, specific magnetic fields can cause ions in our body, like calcium, magnesium, zinc, to resonate.
This resonance dramatically increases the movement of these ions across cell membranes, which can trigger significant biological effects. This is the missing piece of the puzzle. And the research strongly suggests that exposure to the right kind of sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health is critical to our healthy mitochondrial and cellular replication, ensuring these vital processes happen correctly.
So let's bring all of this together. We've journeyed from bumpy carriage rides in the 19th century to 21st century radiofrequency cancer treatments. What are the crucial takeaways from this deep investigation into the bioelectric body?
For me, the main theme is a fundamental paradigm shift. It's about learning to see the body not just as a bag of chemicals to be manipulated, but as a finely tuned orchestra of frequencies that can be restored to harmony.
Let's break it down. First, we've firmly established that life is fundamentally electric. That spark is real and measurable. Second, we saw how our medical model made a conscious choice to shift away from this principle over a century ago, creating a significant blind spot.
And third, modern science is now rediscovering and validating the power of frequency, proving its efficacy with hard data. And finally, we've seen how it works, not by overriding the body, but by gently stimulating its own innate healing mechanisms, whether that's releasing nitric oxide or entraining brainwaves.
Exactly. This represents a true paradigm shift from a purely chemical and molecular view of health to a more holistic, vibrational, and physics-based one. And it confirms what we've been building towards, Jagger. The idea that sound frequency modulation and neurophysiological health can be linked to preventing illness and increasing longevity is no longer a fringe concept. It is an emerging scientific reality. Which leaves us with this provocative final thought.
a question that could very well define the next century of health and wellness. Is the future of medicine not solely chemical, but vibrational? Based on everything we've looked at today, it seems the answer isn't a choice between one or the other, but a powerful integration of both. The true future is in learning to speak both of the body's native languages, its chemistry and its frequency, to achieve a level of health, healing, and human potential that we are only just beginning to imagine.